Percentage is a ratio that compares a number to 100.
Hello and welcome to the Kearney Math Show. Thank you all for tuning in today. On today's episode of the Kearney Math Show, we are going to be featuring mini lesson 6, which talks about simple interest. But before we get started, if you will escriba tu nombre en tu papel, write your name on your paper, and this is entry number 7. So take a moment to label your paper. All right, guys, so today we're talking about something called simple interest. So our learning goal is that by the end of today, I want you all to be able to explain to someone else how to find interest and how to find total balances of maybe a bank account or a loan. So I'm going to just ask you a few questions. How many people hope to go to college one day? How many people hope to buy a house one day? How many people hope to buy a car one day? How many people hope to put money in a savings account one day? If you answered yes to any of those problems, then today's lesson you are going to want to learn because it's going to help you save money and make money later in life or maybe even right now. So before we get started, let's just talk about what the word interest means. So let's say you decide you want to buy a car. And when you go to buy a car, you may not have exactly enough money to pay for the car just right there on the spot. So if you don't have enough money, what do you have to do? So you may have to go to the bank and borrow some money, and that's called taking out a loan. So you may have to go to the bank and say, hey, can I borrow some money to buy this car and I will pay you back? And the bank's going to say, yeah, sure, we'll give you money. But when you pay us back, you have to pay us back what you owe us plus interest. So interest is money that's charged on a loan, or it could be something else. It could be, let's say you decide to put money in a banking account, a savings account. And so the bank wants you to use their savings account. So if you put money in the savings account, then over time, instead of charging you, you actually earn interest. So at the end of 10 years, you should hopefully have more money in the bank account than when you first started because it's earned interest over time, okay? So I'm going to give you a really simple formula that's going to help you solve all of these problems, okay? And the formula is right there on your paper. That says to find simple interest, you're going to use the formula I equals P times R times T. So that big dot just means you're multiplying. So to find the I, you're going to do P times R times T. Whereas Ms. Kearney likes to chant, I like to say I equals PRT. I equals PRT. I equals PRT. You can try it. And it kind of gets stuck in your head. So as you're doing these, you might want to say I equals PRT. So you're probably asking yourself, well, that sounds great, Ms. Kearney, but what in the world does I and P and R and T mean? So that's what I'm going to tell you right now. So I'm going to go through, and I'm going to start up here with this right here. One of the first things you want to know is the interest rate. So I want you to underline the word rate because what do you see that rate starts with? Rate starts with an R. So what do you think that the interest rate, which one of those letters do you think is the interest rate? That's right. The R is the interest rate. Okay? So the interest rate is the percent of the balance that a loan is charged or an investment earns in a fixed period of time. So when you put money in a savings account, there's an interest rate, and usually it may be like 3% or 4%. So you're earning a little percentage over time. Or if you take out a loan, your loan is being charged a little percentage over time. Okay, so that is the R. Now, if we go on to the, actually, let's start here with I, because I think it makes more sense to do that. So I equals, so the I if you look at your letters up there, your words, that's the interest. Okay. And you may say, well, Miss Kearney, what's the difference between interest and interest rate? Rate is the percentage. Interest is the actual amount that is charged. Okay. It's the actual amount that is charged for borrowing money or given when investing. So interest is that amount that's being earned on top of money. Okay. Whereas interest rate is the percentage. Okay. So we have I equals, and then let's see this letter P. Okay. P stands for principal. And I don't mean Principal Rockland. I mean principal is the original amount of money that you either put in a savings account or the original amount of money that you borrowed. Okay, so principal is the original. Just think, it rhymes. Principal, original. Okay, so far we've got I is the interest, the actual amount that you earn, equals P is the principal, which is the original. And then when you get to I equals P times R, we already said R was the rate, that's the percentage. And then times T. And T is time, but time has to be something very specific. Time is usually in years. Okay, so if a problem gives it to you in months, you want to convert that to years. For example, if you had 6 months, what would that be in comparison to a year? That'd be half of a year. Okay, so you always want your time to be in what? In years. Okay, so we've got I is the interest, P is the principal, which is the original, R is the rate, that's the percentage, and T is time in years. Okay, and then sometimes the problems may ask you to find, instead of the I, which is the interest, it may ask you to find the balance. Okay, so balance is after all those years, and if you borrow money, let's say you wanted to buy that car, and you went back and you borrowed money from the bank, that balance means the final total that you owe them. So remember, you've got to pay the bank back what you originally borrowed plus the interest. So the balance is the principal, which was the original, plus the earned interest gives the balance of an account. Okay, so the balance is that total amount that you owe back at the end of the time. Okay, so to find the balance, I'm right here. To find the balance, you're just going to simply add the principal, which was the original, plus the interest that you've earned. Okay, now one key piece of information. Okay, remember our formula was I equals PRT. I equals PRT. And we're multiplying P times R times T. One key piece of information is that R, the rate, is usually given as a percentage. But before we can multiply, you need to change that percentage to a decimal. Okay? So you want to come up here and you want to make a special note behind the interest rate that says change percent to decimal. Okay? So change that percent to a decimal. All right, so let's just, and I know that was a lot of words, so let's just hop right in and try a practice problem so you'll see what I'm talking about, okay? So let's go down to number 1. Now, same thing when you're solving these problems, guys, is sometimes you're looking for the interest and sometimes you're looking for the total. So I still want to see you boxing in the question and writing what you want to know. Okay, so when we read number 1, it says, how much interest will you make on $700 if the rate is 2.4% and you save for 2 years? Then what will the total balance of your account be after the 2-year period? Okay, so let's box in. We had 2 questions there. We first saw how much interest, and then it said, what will the total balance be? Okay, so when we come over to the side, our WTK is we want to know, we already have total balance written there. We also want to know, let me go up a little bit. My board's acting kind of funny. We want to know the interest and the total balance. Okay, So what Miss Kearney likes to do is I like to write my formula out to the side and then fill in the pieces that I know. So what was our formula? Go back to the top. We said I equals P R T. So I'm going to come right here and I'm going to write I, P, R, and T. Okay, and I'm going to fill in each of those values. So when you read the problem, do we know the interest? Do we know the I? It doesn't give us the I. So then we go to the next. Did it give us the principal? Did it give us the original amount that we put into the bank account? Yes, that was the $700. So $700 was the original amount. That was the P. Okay. Did it give us the R? Did it give us that percentage rate? Yes, that was 2.4%. And remember, we've got to change that to a decimal. So we got to move that decimal over 2 places. Go ahead and do that so you don't forget. And then did it give us the time? Yes, it gave us the time was 2 years. We're going to put 2. Okay? So now I have all my key pieces of information pulled out. So now I can just plug it into my formula and solve for the I. Okay? So my formula we said was I equals P times R times T. So I, we don't know, equals, and my P we said was 700 times the R, which we said was 0.024, times the T, which is 2. Okay, so if you grab your calculator, literally you're just going to multiply straight across. So multiply 700 times 0.24, or 0.024, excuse me, times 2, and we get that the I is $33.60. Okay, so remember I was the interest. So that means after 2 years, my bank account has earned $33.60 extra on top of what I originally put in there because it's earning interest. Okay, so go back over to your WTK. What did we say we wanted to know? We wanted to know the interest, which was $33.60, so we got that. And then remember it said the total. So we have to ask ourselves, at the end of 2 years, do I only have $33.60? No, I have the original amount I put in there. So what was the original amount that I put in my bank account? I put in $700. So to find the total, remember we're going to add. So we started with $700, and then we earned an extra $33.60. So what would my total balance be? My total balance would be $733.60 after I add. Okay? So let's just recap. We learned a new formula today. Our formula is I equals PRT. I. Excuse me, guys. So our formula is I equals PRT. So remember, we're multiplying P times R times T. So you just need to pull out those key pieces of information and plug it into your formula. And don't forget to write your want to know. Okay, and just to remind you, I is the interest, P is the principal, which is the original, R is the rate, which we need to change to a decimal, and T is time in years. Okay, so now what I want you to do is I want you to try these on your own. So taking what I just did, if you need to go back and rewatch it, you can. But now you're going to use that formula on the next problem. You're going to try to pull out those key pieces of information. What is the P? What is the R? And what's the T? And what do we want to know? Okay, so try your best, guys, and write down any questions you have. You can always use the answer key to help you if you have questions. And make me proud. So I equals PRT. I equals PRT. All right, make me proud, guys. Peace out, rainbow trout and speckled trout. Love you, mean it.